Om Apyayantu mamangani Vakpranaschakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani cha sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastu Anirakaranam me astu Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaha te mayi santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In this third class on Kena-Upanishad, along with vākya-bhāshya, the second commentary that Adya Shānkarabhāshya had written, we will take a look at the second mantra of the first khanda or section. The first mantra, as we saw in the last class, had the disciples' question. And the question itself was significant, for the question had in it the intuitive grasp of the student that there seems to be a certain presence because of which everybody's personality is set in motion. Because of that presence, our personality is set in motion, but though we say because, there is truly no usual kind of cause-effect relationship. That makes this Atma Vidya, also called Brahma Vidya, unique and extraordinary. And the presence that the Upanishad is pointing to is our own true nature. This Upanishad with a bang starts answering the question, who am I, in a very elegant manner. Who am I? I am certain presence. I am certain existence. I have nothing to take from or give to this personality. The teachings of the Upanishads have a tremendous significance. And this significance consists in going to the root of our suffering. Those who truly understand the message of the Upanishads and stay anchored in the essential teaching of the Upanishads have undergone a terrific transformation. Let us make that clear first. What under the sun is this terrific transformation? We don't mean to be confusing through some flabbergasting words. By transformation, we mean We let go of something which for lives and lives we were attached to. We cling to, we hold in our tight embrace this personality of ours, certain description of who we are, certain image about ourselves that thoughts create. Even when we leave behind the so-called materialistic world and pursue the so-called spiritual path, alas, in no time we hold on to a new image of our being a Vedanta student, our being a seeker of truth, our being a lagging behind or advanced student of self-knowledge, our doing well or our not doing so well in meditation or in study or in something. Ooh, how eager we are, how habituated we are to conceive an image of who we are and then embrace it with all our might. And the very first mantra, Kena-Shitam Patati Preshitam Manaha, and so on, points to the possibility of our being something which has nothing to do with this image. Either the image in materialistic terms or the image in so-called spiritual terms. Therefore, a certain European who later was believed to be enlightened, Jean Klein, made an interesting statement, a piece of advice to his students. He lived in Santa Barbara in California, though he was born and raised in Central Europe and had studied a little Vedanta for some 3 years in Bengaluru. John Klein summarized his teachings once to his students in 2 short sentences. Perceive, do not conceive. If you perceive that your bank balance went down from 20 lakhs to 20,000 rupees, crash, you are aware. That is perception. Online or offline, in printed form or as a message in your iPhone, mobile, you see, oh, yesterday my balance was 20 lakhs of rupees. Today it is showing 20,000 rupees. You perceive. Perceive means you are aware. And when John Klein said to his students, perceive, your awareness, you will perceive. You will perceive all these things as long as the body and mind are operating. But what is meant by the second part of that pithy instruction? Do not conceive. What it means is, when the bank balance has crashed from 20 lakhs of rupees to 20,000 rupees, thanks to the awakening in you, thanks to the intelligence in you, thanks to your understanding the essential Upanishadic message, not a single thought arises in you about your self-worth becoming less. When the bank balance was 20 lakhs of rupees, aha, I am comfortable, is one form of conceiving. And when the bank balance has come down to just peanuts, 20,000 rupees, generally, a woman has a conception. Oh my, I am so poor. How can I continue my meditation in the Himalayas now? I better go to the plains, earn some good money, create a cushion for myself, and with monthly interest coming regularly, I'll come back to Himalayas and again meditate on Aham Brahmasmi. What you do is different, but that conception, an image, I am comfortable, financially very good. And another image, I am financially in terrible crisis now. Both are conclusions of the mind about my worth. Perceive, do not conceive was John Klein's amazing instruction. His direct disciple, Francis Lucille, lives in San Diego, Southern California, almost at the border of Mexico in USA. And he once said about enlightenment. In fact, a student of his with whom I spent a whole day 2 days back shared with me how Francis, the saint in San Diego, whom I had the good fortune of meeting in 2019, along with this student in the Los Angeles, Ratna Bhatia. Ryan, the student, said about the essential teaching of Francis in this way. The question was, what is enlightenment? Enlightenment is the deep understanding of what we are not. Enlightenment is the deep understanding of what we are not. The adjective deep understanding means it has to be experiential, not just conceptual, intellectual, not just playing with words, bringing a Sanskrit word in place of English and some other time to bring an English word in place of a Sanskrit word, or at another time put both English and Sanskrit aside and bring Gujarati or translating from one language to another is a useless exercise. Francis' pointer to true enlightenment is conveyed so well by Kena-Upanishad. One last time to quote Francis, the direct disciple of John Klein, and today another disciple of Francis is well known in the world, Rupert Spira in England. Let's not worry about persons and personalities and teachers or all those individuals. This is part of a teaching methodology, but there is no Francis, no Rupert, no you, no me. Brahma alone is. But then, to say that once more, enlightenment is the deep understanding of what we are not. How does Kena-Upanishad convey this kind of message? In the very question itself, Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha, Kena pranaha pratama praiti yuktaha, Keneshitam vācya-mimām vadanti, Chakshuhu shrotram chakau devo yunakti. Mind, speech, prana, eyes, ears, 5 are mentioned, and the question which all may not understand, actually gives a hint that probably we are not what the mind says, we are not the mind at all, we are not what speech creates, we are not speech at all, we are not eyes at all, we are not ears at all, we are not prana, vital air at all. We are not this entire personality, which is these days engaged in Vedanta study. Let it be engaged in Vedanta study or let it be engaged in some dance or music in the entertainment world, who cares? The entity that is engaged in some pursuit or some activity is not you. Then who am I? I am the presence. I am the pure existence. And I do not literally cause any movement. And yet, because of limitation of language, to begin with, it is said, the Atma makes the ears hear. The Atma makes the eyes to see. The Atma makes the mind to think. The Atma makes the vital air to function. The Atma makes one by one many organs and faculties and aspects of our personality are mentioned, and it is said Atma as though causes them to act. But someone like Adi Shankaracharya, the better Sanskrit has to be Adya Shankaracharya. Yes, Adya Shankaracharya, in the commentary, vākya-bhāshya portion that we will see in this session, makes it all the more clear, though it was said in the previous portion also, by giving the example of a certain extraordinary, unusual, some bird about whom we don't know, calling it chakora or chakori, some name is given. Apparently, that bird sits, a king brings the bird and makes it sit near him, and when food is served to a king, if the food happens to have poison, the eyes of the bird turn red. Without the bird tasting the food, without the bird picking up some food, in the very presence of the poisonous food, the eyes of the bird turn red. That was said in the previous portion of the commentary that we already saw. Now, in this session, first, let me read the mantra. So, let us see the first slide for the presentation of this class 3 on Kena-Upanishad along with vākya-bhāshya. That's the name given to the second commentary. The first commentary was called Pada-bhāshya, and this second commentary that we are studying, in this series we have not touched upon Pada-bhāshya, but in ashrams at many places, other teachers and I also have dealt with Pada-bhāshya. Someone was again not very clear why these two. If you don't like these words Pada-bhāshya and vākya-bhāshya, just to call them Bhāshya 1 and Bhāshya 2. Commentary 1 and Commentary 2. Adi Shankara, out of his possibly a great love of this Upanishad, wrote 2 commentaries. Like you love Bangalore so much, let's say, during one of your visits, you are so excited, you spent 20 days. On the last day in your hotel room, you sat and before leaving this beautiful city, I want to write an essay. You wrote an essay describing the beauty of Bangalore or Bengaluru. And that got published in Times of India, let's say. And after 2 years, you again managed to visit Bangalore and went around some new places and some old places, for second trip. And you were again so fascinated, sitting in the hotel room, another hotel, another location, another month of the year, doesn't matter. You sat down and wrote another essay of 1,000 words on why I love Bangalore. So the essay you wrote in 2018 and the essay you wrote in 2020 are different. Some are common, some are different. They don't contradict each other. Both of them are about Bengaluru city. Likewise, Adya Shankaracharya wrote commentary 1 and at a later point of time again wrote commentary 2. That's what we are going to see. The mantra here says, Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyad Vacho Havacham Sahu Pranasya Pranah Chakshushas Chakshuh Atimuchya Dhiraah Pretya Asmat Lokat Amritaah Bhavanti. The disciple had asked, what makes the mind to go towards its objects? What makes the entire personality do whatever it seems to be doing? What is the cause? This is a very unique cause which really, literally does not cause, but in an extraordinary, unusual, unique way, yes, it being present, things happen. That truth is your truth. Your sorrow about whatever happened in your life, your dissatisfaction, frustration, call it as you may. A speaker like me also should not waste too many words. For this is not an English class. I am not here to help you improve your vocabulary. Nor is my vocabulary too rich or inexhaustible. After 2 or 3 words, I am also gone. There is no need to show how many words you know. We need to just communicate clearly that this truth, the truth of you and me, is such, as the English translation goes here, calling it He. This truth is called He. Since He is the ear of the ear, Shrotrasya Shrotram, mind of the mind, Manaso Manaha, then speech of speech, Vachoha Vacham, then the vital air of vital air or life of life, Pranasya Pranaha, and eye of the eye, Chakshushas Chakshu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And by mentioning 5, everything else. That's part of the personality, the image, the bundle of thoughts describing who we are is implied. Everything else is implied. Today in psychology, they describe oneself or describe any person in so many ways. A counselor may say to a subject, person who has come for counseling, the counselor may say to the subject, look, you are a man, but no, you have a woman in you. And there is a child in you. Thanks to all your qualification, you have a scientist in you. And though you have been living in Manhattan for last 25 years, remember, you were born in a little village in Andhra Pradesh and then you moved. And even now, after all these years, There is a villager in you. A counselor may say such things, and it is true. So it is eyes and ears, nose and tongue, mind and all that on one hand, or the woman in me, the man in me, the father in me, the mother in me, the child in me, the victim in me, the torturer in me, there is in me one who torments others. There is in me one who gets tormented. We exploit, we are exploited. But here comes the Upanishad. Way above all counselors. The Upanishad says, oh dear, really, you are none of those. There is no child in you, no man in you, no woman in you, no father, no brother, no scientist. Then what under the sun am I? The answer, someone like Nisargadatta would say, the answer to that is, I am, period. In American English, period means full stop. I am, full stop. Don't add anything. The eye of the eye. Therefore, the intelligent men, picking up again in the English translation provided in this slide, the intelligent men, after giving up self-identification with the senses, all these 100 descriptions, and once you let go of your description, there is no reason or no possibility of your continuing to be in the world as that identity. Once you know you are not the businessman, how can you run a business? Once you know you are not the husband, how can you play the role of the husband? And Anandamayima, as a young wife, sat quietly on earlier occasions when the husband brought some guests. She would get up, make some tea for them, or even prepare a meal for them. But one fine morning, when the husband again brought 4 or 5 guests without prior notice, and looked at her and made a gesture to her, come on, prepare some snacks for these guests, she did not move. And the husband, who later became sort of manager for her programs everywhere, the husband got infuriated, got furious. He said to the lady, his wife, you are sitting like that without moving? What do you think you are? It's recorded. Anandamayima looked up and answered that question. What do you think you are? She answered, I do not think, I know I am Brahman. That is negation. That is what Francis Lucille in San Diego said. Enlightenment is the deep understanding of what we are not. You and I read a lot of Vedanta, teach a lot of Vedanta, translate a lot of Vedanta, write commentaries, write poems, write text, and all that. But after all that, we do not have that deep understanding that we are not the writer, we are not the speaker, we are not the listener, we are not the translator, we are not the guru, we are not the shishya, we are negation. Yajnavalkya in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says neti, neti, twice. He says neti twice. By saying it twice, he implies, can you let go of your psychological hang-up? On the physical plane, an enlightened man also, when he's hungry, eats breakfast, lunch, or dinner. But we are talking of that dharana. Dharana is what idea you hold. Dharana is holding. You hold an idea I am father of 3 children. I am a senior scientist at defense labs. If you hold that idea as though it is unquestionably true, then what Vedanta have you understood? Renouncing the world means being free from any identity that you may have in the world. This surely comes across as a very tall order from the Vedanta. Many of us may raise our hands in despair and say, not my cup of tea. Namaste to this Vedanta. Goodbye. You will say goodbye and go where? After a while, you have to come back. Let me say this before proceeding. Unless you completely put aside your identity as this or that, you will not find peace. Renounce the world and then become immortal. Let's go to the second slide, where certain selected sentences from Adya Shankaracharya are taken by us. Almost every sentence in his vākya-bhāshya is worth its weight in gold, but because of time constraint, we cannot go into every sentence of it. Shankara says, first of all, the second mantra begins with Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Mano Yad Vacho Havacham, etc. Right? Shrotrasya Shrotram Ityadi Prativachanam. Vachanam is saying, Prativachanam is replying. The teacher's reply, as contained in the second mantra, what is it all about? Nirvisheshasya nimittatvartham. Artham means for the purpose. Nimittatva artham. It is for the purpose of showing how in an unusual way, not in the usual way, in an unusual way, the truth, the pure self, Atma, is nimitta. It is the cause. Atma is the cause. Atma has, in a manner of saying, causehood, nimittatva. To convey that causehood or to convey its being the cause, nimittatva pradarshanartham. The word Atma has not appeared in the sentence here. Nirvisheshasya. A better translation would have been the instigative nature of the attributeless truth. Nirvishesha means attributeless. To even call it a cause is an attribute. Due to limitation of language, we permit ourselves calling it the cause, but otherwise, when it is, everything seems to happen. Don't be carried away either by the loss and gain in the outer world or by the image of yours dancing, rising and falling. Somebody criticizes you, your self-image sinks. Somebody praises you, your self-image rises. You swell in pride or shrink in shame as things happen around you. That's the play of the conditioned mind. Do not be carried away by that. So, Nirvisheshasya, the English translation given in the slide is the instigative nature of the non-dual truth, Advaita Tattvasya, or Advaitasya Atmanaha, Advaitatmanaha. Advaitatmanaha Shabda is not in the original Sanskrit, therefore you may as well say, though it is the meaning. Reference is to the non-dual Atma only, but the word used is Nirvisheshasya, of the attributeless truth. And Adi Shankara says, you know what is meant by calling the Atma the cause is something like, he gives a very nice illustration. I don't think Sri Ramakrishna had studied Kena-Upanishad vākya-bhāshya or anything like that, but Sri Ramakrishna, the champion of bhakti in the 19th century, who lived only for 50 years, but by himself and through his disciples like Vivekananda, shook the world in essence, had given the example. Pieces of vegetables start moving as you turn on the gas stove. Below the steel vessel having water in it, in which the pieces are placed, they start moving. If the stove is turned off, the water becomes cold, all the vegetable pieces stop. Udakasya aushnyam agni nimittamiti. Vākya-bhāshya says, the heat in the water, Sri Ramakrishna added the vegetable pieces, but just take water, Shankaracharya gives Udakasya. Udakasya aushnyam, the heat of water, agni nimittam, is really caused by fire. The water does not have its own high temperature. Dagduhu api udakasya, though that hot water is burning vegetables, or if you put your hand into that hot water, oh, it is so hot, your hands are burnt, and you say, this water burns. Udakam dagdru. The water is a burning entity. One who burns is dagdru or dagda, or in that's grammar, dagdri. So, though water seems to burn things, actually, who is the dagda? Dahati iti dagda. Dagda actually is agnihi. Fire is the one that is heating up. But it is okay to say, third line, udakamapi agni sanyogat agnihi uchyate. Because it is blessed by fire beneath the vessel, the water also is called fire. If a child is trying to put his hand into water, we say, don't touch. Don't touch that water, that is fire. Water is not fire. But in as much as this water also can burn the hands of burn the fingers of the child, as fire would do normally, udakamapi agni sanyogat agnihi uchyate tadvat anityam sat yat anityam yat sanyogat upalabdhritvam tatkaranam shrotradi. Actually, the shrotra adi, ears, eyes, and so on, they have no power whatsoever to hear or to see or to speak or to think. But sanyoga, in the presence of the pure self, and you and I need to contemplate, meditate upon the truth revealed by the Upanishad. I am the presence. The one who lost is not me. One who gained is lost me. Oh. Okay. Here it is. Here it is. That's what Ramana Maharshi says. Question and let go of any answer that this conditioned mind gives to you for the question, who am I? One moment the mind says, who am I? I am the third son of my father who has 5 sons of all, or in all. That's okay in a certain Vyavaharika context. Reject it. Who am I? I am the husband of Mandakini, my very loving wife, somebody says. And that is also true, but we are asking on a different level. Who are you? Don't say I'm father of Devadatta. Who am I? All reject, negate. Therefore it is said, this being Mandakini's husband, being father of Devadatta, being the third son of my father, etc., are all anitya. Nobody was born Mandakini's husband. At some age of 28, he married Mandakini. And at the age of 32, he became father of Devadatta. And God forbid, if Devadatta dies after 2 years of his birth, then this fellow is no more father. In like manner, water heats for a little while, whereas in the example, with limitations of any analogy for that matter, fire, by its very nature, heats. It doesn't have to borrow the ability to heat, ability to burn from X or Y. So the translation at the end says, in the same way, impermanent receptors having come into contact are called ear, etc. They are karana. Karana means they do some jobs, but empowered by the pure self. Likewise, we go to the third slide of this session, where Shankaracharya compassionately helps us understand even the word Shrotra through some grammar, which I also don't know. Shru is the dhatu, which means to hear. Shru, shrunoti. Shru, as in the word Shruti. Shrunoti anena iti shrotram. After all, the ear, the outer ear, the inner ear, the middle ear, the upper ear, the lower ear, whatever you call, this whole thing ear, the gross ear and the sukshma indriya ear. Okay. Stulam cha, sukshman cha, kimapi anyat cha. This whole thing called ear is only a karana, an instrument, an organ. That is shrotram. Tasya shabda avavasakatvam shrotratvam. This organ called the ear is as though putting its chest up and saying, you know what? I am ear, capable of hearing. Oh, you are capable of hearing. What is hearing? Shabda avabhasakatvam. To let people know that there is sound. Talk to the person, there is a sound. It's our ears which makes us know. So they play a role, no doubt. Shabda upalabdha rupataya avabhasakatvam. It as though receives upalabdha. It as though collects. Like it's raining and you take a bucket and collect some water in the bucket. You take a bowl and collect some water as it is raining. Like that, the ear, upalabdha, it receives, collects, and lets us know. Na swataha shrotrasya upalabdhritvam. Shankaracharya makes an important statement. Understand, for heaven's sake, the ear, swataha, by itself, has no capacity. But you and I, even after a lot of study of Vedanta, are so attached to this Jagrat Vyaktitva, Jagrat personality, consisting of ears, nose, tongue, etc. And without letting go of the importance that we give to this waking personality, we even say, I dreamt that I was going upon an elephant last night in my dream. I'm remembering that. So who is it that is remembering? The one who experienced the sight of an elephant upon which oneself was traveling, and the one who is remembering have to be the same. So that is this entity. It has its own validity, etc. So we give so much importance. We are so Jagrat, Ahankara centered. We give these examples, elephant and lion, etc. Last night I had a funny dream. My laptop was not working. Because after all these years of being into spirituality, many of my attachments have reduced. One attachment that still is there is this laptop. And in this dream, one child came and said, I can repair your laptop. My screen had some problem. I said, really? Can you? Please? And the child held the screen of my laptop, pulled it, it got separated, and threw it to one corner of the room. I said, what is this child doing? Luckily, I woke up from my dream and I saw my laptop was okay on the table. I slept off again. All this goes on. But you must study the wonderful works of Swami Satchidanandendra Saraswati, who goes into depths of this business of imagining that the waking personality who did not lose the laptop, right, is real, and the dream personality whose laptop was torn to pieces by a mischievous child claiming to repair it, that is false, but this is real, etc. Wait a minute. Do not be so identified with your waking personality. This waking personality is 100% equally false as notion. That is the effect, this is the cause, and so on. Both the so-called cause and the effect are of questionable reality. So Adi Shankaracharya says, Swataha Shrotrasya Shabda Avabhasakatvam na bhavati. Why? Achidrupatvat. By itself, the ears are achid. Chid means sentient. Achid means insentient. Jada. Achidrupatvat. Oh, by themselves, if the ears are insentient, inert, lifeless, how did they get their apparent sentiency? Shankaracharya answers, Atmanascha chidrupatvat. There is this Atma, the very nature of which is chit. Its nature is sentiency. It is pure consciousness. If you have risen to a certain height of Vedanta, one hallmark about you will be, you will increasingly look at yourself as pure consciousness, or call it pure awareness. And you are being the third son of your father, you are being the husband of Mandakini, you are being the father of Devadatta, you are being all of them bundled together will be only, what is that idiom? A drop in the bucket. 100, 1,000 descriptions of who you are that are rising one after another in some unpredictable sequence in your mind are a drop in the bucket. And the light that you are is the truth. Atmanaha cha chidrupatvat yat shrotratya upalabdritvena avabhasakatvam. Ears apparently were avabhasaka. They were illumining sound. Eyes were illumining name, form and color. Nose was illumining smells. Right? Tad Atma nimittatvat. All that show happens. You wonder sometimes how certain terrorists do so much of damage in some part of the world. Upon investigation, you come to know these terrorists are funded by a very rich billionaire sitting in Manhattan or in London, or could be in Kochi in India, or could be in Bangkok in Thailand. that rich man who is a respectable citizen, who actually is on the board of directors of many companies, whom people applaud. Wow, the secret of his success, how he became billionaire, how he rose from rags to riches. That fellow is behind these terrorists doing a whole lot of operations and killing innocent people and all that. So you hunt down the source of funding. There is the funding there. Likewise, Atmanimittvatvat Shrotrasya Upalabdhatvena Avabhasakatvam or Shrotrasya Rupa Avabhasakatvam. Shrotrasya Shrotramiti Uchyate. That by which one hears is the ear, that which illuminates sound is the ability. You can read your translation for yourself. But in this astounding manner, Adya Shankaracharya brings to us an increased understanding of, Francis would say, a deep understanding of what we are not. Upanishad study enhances our understanding. I am now. Let me conclude by saying how in daily life it can have tremendous significance. We cry, we feel sorry, we spend sleepless nights sometimes saying, there was a time how it was so good, everybody in the family used to respect me. Now that I am a 84-year-old man and hard of hearing, cannot walk, they make fun of me. Oh, my own wife doesn't respect me now. Oh, ooh, and so on. Suppose, I'm not talking of anybody, but just constructed an example. Right? Somebody, therefore, midnight also, he looks at the ceiling, doesn't get sleep. Bhai Saab, as they say in Hindi. Oh, sir, why are you identified with this personality? Study, purify your mind, meditate. You will get the ability to let go of your identification with this personality, which at one time was loved and adored and praised endlessly by family members. And today, nobody wants to give even 2 minutes of their time to you. Both are false. That personality which was praised was one appearance. This personality which is not sought by anybody is another appearance. The truth is you where you are and you will be pure consciousness. Upanishadic study can bring to you a great clarity. Greater the clarity, lesser is the need to meditate consciously with effort. Saying, okay, I want to meditate, where shall I start? That is when you don't have clarity of the subject. When you have clarity of the subject, as I guess Drugdrashya Viveka has an expression, yatra yatra mano yati, tatra tatra samadhayaha. Om Namah Paramarshibhyo, Namah Paramarshibhyaha.